All right, for the spring 2021 semester, the class is actually misnamed. It's much more of an Android class than it is a Java class. All right, I've gone round and round with Mr. Smith about this, and I mean, I like Paul, he's a great guy, and so is Evan, but I think we should be teaching Kotlin in the class. Kotlin is kind of an offshoot of Java, but it's a language that Google has made, and they have asked that all new Android development be done in Kotlin. It's not a hard transition to go from Java to Kotlin. That said, Evan and Paul still want us to teach just Java for creating Android, so that's what I'm going to do. Okay? All right. So when you look in here, okay, I sent you guys this before, so I'm just going to click on each one of these. Try to. So this, for the first part of the class, this is our textbook. All right? And you'll notice when you look in here, Lesson 1, build your first app. Lesson 2, activities and intents. Lesson 3, testing, debugging, support libraries. Lesson 4, user interaction. Lesson 5, delightful user experience. Lesson 6, UI testing. Lesson 7 and 8, which are the hardest two in my opinion, background tasks with async, etc. Lesson 8, alarms and schedulers. Paul has told me to not even really go over this one very much because this stuff is outdated on here and it's not used very often anymore. I'll double check with him on that when we get to that point. Lesson 9 is how to save stuff without using a database, and Lesson 10 is how to use stuff with a database. You'll notice that Lesson 10 here it's a primer for SQLite, but they also talk about Room, which is another database and way that you can save stuff. All right, so that said, then there is, no, I gotta find the other one. There's also this one. Come on. Jeez Louise. Try this. Okay, I guess that's it. All right. And this one extends on the other one. All right. The bottom line is this. We're going to be going over as much of this stuff as is literally possible. Probably we'll do about a chapter a week, but the way that I want the class to be set up is I'll take as much time as necessary to go over one of these chapters. We will at a minimum write a program that'll be about one of these things. And then when you start looking through here, they have lessons. They have stuff they actually want you to do. So my hope is that if we go through an example together, that you'll be able to do these. Does that make sense? Now I've got to do a better job of looking at this like you guys. I've been just trying to get through this semester, and I will look at it during the break. So I think everything I'm telling you is correct. All right. Plus, there's two things that you have to do in this class. One is kind of like we did with the midterm, where they created this site for this Aero Bridge rescue from scratch. Okay, kind of, but what you guys are going to do, and I want you to start thinking about it first week of class, is you have to create your own Android app from scratch. Meaning you've got to go into Balsamic Mockup and mock up what the screens are going to look like. Now you may or may not be aware of this, but when you go into Balsamic wireframes here, and I'm not going to spend any time on this, I just want to show it to you. And geez, it's been a while. So let's see. you'll notice there's a bunch of stuff in here for Android. That was not a good example. All right. But when you wireframe, and again, this is just something I'm going to have to look back at because I've done it before. You can actually wireframe and have it be a phone. And you can show exactly what it's going to look like on your phone, or you can make it be a tablet. All right. But you are going to have to do that so when you are doing your mock-up for your project, it's going to have several screens. Right? It can be anything you want. All right. In other words, I mean, I've had people in the past who've said, hey, I found this game online. There's no code for it, but I want to write it, or I want to write something similar. You want to do a game? You do a game. I've had people do budget apps. All right. I've had people do all sorts of different stuff. I've had people come in and add animation, add sound, and because we don't go over too much of that stuff, we look at some of it a little bit, but not in a lot of depth and breadth of coverage. Not only that, as we get started, one of the first apps that we create, I was telling Keegan this, I think it was Keegan, yesterday, that you both are familiar with BMI, the body mass index. Now, I didn't do it as much with your class this semester, but I did it with his when he was in the AWD1000 class. And we've looked at it. The bottom line is this. When we start writing apps, we're going to write something like that. And we're going to first write it in Java. The first week of the class is no Android, nothing with Android. It's just starting to get you familiarized with Java itself. All right? And probably by the end of that week, if either at the end of that week or the beginning of the following week, you'll have a test, and it'll be just on Java. All right. The good news is, and I'm not just saying this, it's really and truly not difficult. You both have programmed before, and it's to write a few pretty simple programs in just Java. But by that time, we'll have written programs that are harder than the ones that you'll have to write. All right. Then we will get into the Android. Like I said, I don't know if we're going to use the BMI, but it'll be something like that. When we first start, we'll have an app that'll just have a single screen. It'll be simple. All right. You'll learn. We won't even worry at first about putting in stuff like it's going to be different because for Android, what you're going to see is, as an example, you can say that you can set your keyboard up in code. It's a line of code, okay, literally. And once you set it up, you can set it up so all that it has are just numbers. So you don't have to worry about setting a type to number like we do, etc. in HTML. Okay, and you don't have to worry because you don't have any letters on that keyboard, that kind of thing. So we'll do stuff like that, and we will create a simple app. And once we've created the first iteration of that simple app, we're probably going to just take it, and I'll have you both. They're free. No, they're not. They're 20. I'll have to check. But what you are supposed to do is you are supposed to get an account where you are basically a Google Android app developer. Now I think it's $25. Normally I tell people about that ahead of time. Is that a hardship for either one of you? Okay. You can put it right out on the App Store then. The difference is when you do it using iOS, so if you do it for a Mac, it's $99 a year. If you do it here, it's $25 for your life. So in other words, even once you leave here, if you decide you want to go and create more apps, you're able to do that and put them out there on the App Store. All right? And I don't even know if it's, geez, I haven't looked at this probably in 2 years, but I'm going to anyway. So this is the Google Play Store, and I don't know if I can even search for myself. Let's see. No. There it is. All right. So I am out there. Okay, this is the thing that I created. If you want, we can even create it as a class. I don't really care. I still have the code for it someplace. The idea is you put in your name, your date of birth, you click calculate, and you can see what it tells you. The current date, your input information, exactly how old you are to the day, the day of the year you were born on, your astrological sign, and just some junk that I grabbed from the internet, but it's true, and some Chinese zodiac stuff. Funny thing is, I put that out there, and here, this guy, I don't know who wrote this, but I like this. Lots of potential. Great effort. Keep on coming out with those updates. Well, that was May 7th, 2018. Okay, so that was more than 2 years ago. I did put some stuff out there last year, but I'm not sure with everything. I'm not sure what happened to it. I'm going to go look for that too. But the point is, you will be creating apps. You don't have to put every one you create out on there, but you do have to take the one that you create for your final project, and you have to put that out there. That is actually part of your grade. All right. How many points? I'll have to go back and look and see what I did in the past. And then ideally, at a minimum, when it is this time next semester and you are redoing your portfolio, I said to you, Keegan, yesterday, you'll be adding at that app, and probably a couple more, and you could be able to do the same thing. Now, hopefully with yours, because when I gave you the instructions, it was for first semester, but you really should be putting some links into 2 or 3 of your C# projects as well. Now, if you didn't do that and yours is done, I don't care. All right, yeah. But I figured you'd probably do it anyway. All right. So again, the idea is all the reading material that you have is online. All right. I've got to go and look through it. The last time I looked through it literally was in May of this year. So I haven't looked through it, the students, some of them really like doing it like this and not having a book. Some of them, are having an online book type of thing. Some of them hated it. And what I did last year was, rather than giving them a lot of the assignments that were out of here, we just did stuff as a class, and then I give them another assignment. Let's just see how that works, okay? Paul has had a lot of luck using everything that is in here. And I will tell you, and I'm not saying this with pride, if anything, it's just the opposite. Last semester, I let people be lax on their projects. And I had people who were really not probably even starting their projects until there were 2 or 3 weeks left in the semester. That's on me. That was stupid on my part. I can't do that this semester. So you literally will have a schedule. It may not be ready January 7th, but it'll be ready pretty close to that. That'll say on this date, and you might have 3 or 4 iterations of this that you create. So the first iteration might be no code. All right, literally it's just creating the wireframe. All right, the second iteration might be, it doesn't work yet, but you've got every screen set up and you're able to go from screen to screen type of an idea. And then, you'll have at least, like I said, probably 4 iterations. And maybe it'll be the third one that it's almost there. And you'll turn it in and I'll say, yeah, you should really do this and you should do that. But you're not that concerned with colors or with images. And then the last one that you turn in, it'll be the whole shebang, so to speak. What I did last year was interrupted, of course, as you know, by the pandemic. And I don't know how it'll be this year, so I don't know what we're going to be like in May. But what I've done in the past is I have brought in, I've got a couple IT recruiters that I know fairly well. I've brought them in, and I've also invited people that I know who have been on our advisory committee and some people who have employed some of our graduates, and I've asked them to come in. And I think I've either told one or both of you this, but like 3 years ago, Colin Fugner, who was one of my students, he got done presenting, and he was right in the middle. We had about 15 people presenting, so we did about 5 or 6, something like that. We took a break. During the break, one of the people who was there watching, she came up and asked me, does he have a job? And I said, well, he's actually, truthfully, I said, he's a manager at McDonald's. And she was like, but he wants a job in IT, right? And I said, yeah. She said, can I go talk to him? I said, please do. She offered him a job. He worked there for about a year. And he liked the place, but it was a real small company, so she didn't pay well. And he's now a Java programmer out in Maryland Heights someplace. But the point is, it can lead to something. All right, and that's, of course, that would be my hope. So when you come in on day 1, we're literally going to start writing Java the first day. First thing we'll have to do, you can do it yourself if you want to, otherwise I'm going to walk you through the steps, and that is installing we're going to use Android Studio for everything we do. Now, you can use Android Studio for regular Java, but it's not actually the best IDE for regular Java. Probably the best IDE for regular Java is something called IntelliJ. Okay? You can actually use IntelliJ for both regular Java and Android. You can use Android Studio for both Java and Android apps. Rather than having you install two different things of software where you could use either one, Android Studio is pretty much the preeminent, it's the one that people use for Android. Since this is more of an Android class that just uses Java, I decided that we're just going to use Android Studio. All right, they're both free. So, I mean, if you want to go and download IntelliJ IDE, there's a free version. If you do want to download that, you can and start writing some Java. All right. There's actually a course out here. I had people go through it last year. Some liked it, some were But I know I pushed this, udemy.com on you before, and unless the guys pulled it, but there was a free Java course that he had out there. That's it, because that's the guy. He's English is not his first language. All right, I'll send you this URL later. Okay, and I noticed there's a couple free ones. I've never looked at any of these, so I have no idea. I can look at these two and see. But this one, it's free. So is it fantastic? No. But he goes over the stuff that's in there. So if you wanted to look at it, you'd be able to. I think to use it, you'll probably have to create an account. They don't send you very many emails. You do occasionally get stuff when they've got sales and whatever. All right, but this guy, like I said, I've gone through this one already, and I don't know, on a 1 to 10, it's probably about a 6, maybe, I don't know. Free tutorial, where is it?
Hi, this is Kirill Anastasov from the Mastermind Group. I'd like to welcome you to my free course, Introduction to Java Programming. First of all, a few words about...
And he knows his stuff, and the stuff he talks about, it's very elementary. Actually, you probably know most of it anyway, but the transition to go from C# to Java is not a big one. It really and truly isn't. Now, to go from even Java to Android is kind of big because it's GUI, all right? And we're not going to do anything GUI in straight Java. Everything we do is going to be from the command line, all right? That should at least be enough to get you started. What I will do is when I get the syllabus written, I will email it to you. I will have a YouTube channel like I've got now for the other stuff. And I've already, I might end up moving some of the stuff over because I made some lectures last year from this book, but I have to check and see if I still have those out there. All right? But you can leave if you have no questions. And just, hopefully that at least gets you started because you had asked, and I know, just so you both know what's going on. Okay? Yeah.